I have a green box on my desk. I never thought I'd say that sentence, but here we are. Several weeks ago, Kenro announced that they no longer had the Montegrappa line because Montegrappa is moving to in-house distribution in Italy. And when that happened, Montegrappas became much more affordable in the States because everybody put them on clear out, including Atlas. I ended up buying this pen from Atlas Stationers on a pretty good deal. I bought it because at the time it was listed, I really liked it, but it was also listed as a US exclusive colorway to Kenro. It is now listed on the Montegrappa website, so I don't think it's going anywhere, but at the time it seemed like it was probably disappearing. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. So we are going to open this up. I adore their packaging. It is such a lovely experience because then you get the pen box, which also opens to reveal the Tarvisium Carson pen. The Tarvisium is listed as being a US exclusive model to Kenro, and now it's listed on the Montegrappa website with no mention of it being an exclusive to any country, and they just call it like a vintage model. I was very specific when I ordered this pen because it's a resin pen, which means that depending on the pen you get, they all look very different. And I had seen some that were just this shade of green that I really didn't like. And so when I ordered mine, I asked for one that was primarily purple and pink. And I would say they did a very good job. The only green mine has is on the very back, and I'm totally okay with that. So up top, you have the little Montegrappa insignia. You have the clip with a roll stop, and you have the cap, which unscrews to reveal the Montegrappa nib. This is not their gold nib, this is their steel nib, and I got mine in a fine. It is a cartridge converter pen. So honestly, it looks like pretty much all the other high-end brands converters. It very much reminds me of Esterbrook's and Visconti's. It looks pretty much the same. I do though like this extended metal ring. So let's put this body back on. And I don't know that I'd buy this for full price. Full list price of this pen was $375 USD. I did not pay that much. Actually, I think originally it was even more than that. I think it was maybe $4 something, because I want to say at half off, I still paid 200 and something USD for it. It was not an inexpensive pen. We're just going to say that. That being said, I do really like it. I haven't dip tested it. I don't know how the nib writes. It could write horrendously, but we're going to find out. I do, though, really like the resin. Montegrappa was something I didn't have in my collection, but I've really liked. And so it felt like an expensive purchase that was worthwhile. Also, I was buying it from Atlas. There are companies that I would not buy something this expensive from, but from Atlas, from Goldspot, I didn't have any issues. So let's try and pick a color to go with this, because I think this is where we're going to run into some trouble. Because I think maybe if I try and go for something in this, like pinky, because like the greens are going to be so pale and so minty. Like even that isn't awful actually. But it's just going to be really hard to match purple, I feel. Yeah, I don't have a purple no, that isn't awful. That's a private reserve. Do I have something though that's in there? Do I have something in there? Oh, Madame Mulberry isn't awful. Ooh, hoo hoo hoo. That isn't awful. Pilot Shizuku Kirasame. It's not quite pink enough, but I could mix in a drop of Yamabudo. Because I think, unless I go for something really, really vibrantly red, I don't know that I like any of the really, really vibranty red ones. I don't really. All right, we're gonna go with Kirasame with, I think, a drop of Yamabudo to make it a little bit brighter, more pinky. I'm just gonna up the pink a little bit so that it fits in there more. Because otherwise I think Book of Botany is our best bet, and I don't want a green ink in this pen. All right, let's go find that ink. All right, I have a sample vial, I have a couple of pipettes, and I have an edge of a cap that we're trying to match for. So let's... The really annoying thing is that I'm not actually going to measure any of this. So I'm going to be really annoyed if I ever have to mix this up again. But I want to leave room for Yamabudo. We're going to shake that up and we're going to try that and see if that's pink enough. Oh, well, that's very pretty. I don't know that that's a color we need, but that's very pretty. That might be what we go with, though. Once it dries. Actually, we're putting a cap on that because I really like that. We're grabbing a new sample vial and we'll mix something else up. All right, so I've also grabbed Kazumu, which is another discontinued pink for a slightly lighter pink because I really like that purple, but it's not quite where we're going. So instead now we're gonna do mil, a third. Let's go with a mil of this light pink. We're gonna do the rest with that. Now we're going to shake this and decide if it gets a little bit of Yamabudo or not. No, I think that's it. Sweet. All right. There we go. There's our custom mix for this pen. So now I get to ink it up. I've never actually done a custom mix with Pilot inks before. But I think it would probably be fun to have the primary set of Pilot inks to do custom mixes with. All right. Oh, almost no air. I do wish more of the higher end pens had a spring or a ball just to help with the burping process, to help break surface tension. We're going to do a partial fill. Mostly because I've got so many other things inked that I don't care that it's only a partial. So let's recap everything and then we will do our writing sample. For our writing sample, we are using Endless Regalia paper, and this is the I'm just gonna put the question mark there because at this point I have no idea. In Carson, with a fine nib, the ink is Pilot. Kosumosu. And it is honestly, I actually might get this pen tuned. I don't. The nib's smooth, but there's just something about it that I don't like. And I don't know what it is. Or maybe it isn't the nib. Maybe it's the step down, which normally I'm fine with. But it's a weird... Your fingers are resting against the metal. And then instead of resting against like the pen body, they're resting against this like thin section after the step down. So they're sort of just like floating there. And I don't know that I love that. So we'll have to see how I feel about it in my hand after a little bit. I'm interested to see if Montegrappa keeps selling them because they were listed as being US exclusive and now they're not. And that's interesting. So let me know down below, do you have a Montegrappa? Are you more interested in getting them now that they're US only distribution, or are you less interested? Oh, is this metal interresin threads in the cap? I think it is. Which also means that over time, this cap is going to get destroyed because you've got metal threads into resin. Lots of brands have moved away from this because over time the resin does get destroyed. Actually, the metal liner might go up a little higher. I'm going to have to look at it with a flashlight. If it is metal threads into resin, over time, the resin gets chewed up and destroyed. So if that is the case, I'm disappointed that a high-end pen like this has that going on, but I don't know for sure. Actually, I'm gonna grab a flashlight and look right now. All right, let's take a peek. So it's metal threads into plastic. And I don't love that. They're not going into the resin, there's a cap liner. But it is metal threads into plastic. I don't know how chewed up they're gonna get over time. And it's an expensive pen. And it wouldn't have cost them all that much for them to put a metal liner in it so that it's metal going into metal. Or for them to just leave the threads as being resin so that it's resin going into plastic or resin going into resin. So I guess my follow-up question is, if you have one of these pens, how do the threads last over time? Because resin into metal and metal into resin tend not to hold up super well. So now I'm very curious about how this will hold up over time. So, have I just wasted my money on a very expensive pen? Who knows, but we are going to find out. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you found this informative.